just go ahead and start this video out, guys, by saying, once again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone, even though Thanksgiving was obviously this past Thursday. But I hope you guys had a good one. However, I can go ahead and start this week out with some very good news. And that very good news is, well, Walmart has decided they're going to get rid of their DEI policies. Why? Because right-wing conservatives have been targeting a number of public companies, telling them they don't like what their support for transgender, LGBTQ, as well as Black folks and other minorities. This is the Walmart U.S. That's only a small portion from Rollie Pollie Ollie. We will get back to Rollie Pollie Ollie a little bit later on this video. But as you guys obviously saw, there are some people who are obviously upset because Walmart chose to ditch DEI. And obviously, to go on top of that, you've also got some people out there who are, let's just say, having some meltdowns about it. Let's take a look.
Okay, we see you. Since you're getting rid of DEI, and just letting us know you have no use for black people or any other minority, how about we let you know we have no use for you? Get rid of DEI? Go ahead.
Walmart will no longer be intentional about ensuring historically marginalized, oppressed, and underrepresented communities are represented. Many years ago, I stopped spending the majority of my money at Walmart. And after yesterday's announcement, I am committed that they will not get 1 penny from me until they change their stance on DEI.
I am pulling up to Walmart in Baton Rouge to see if we got the memo about boycotting, and I don't think we got the memo, y'all, because it's packed and I'm really getting pissed off. I'm finna park and I'm going to go and walk in here and see what all they have in here and see if you know, what all they are buying. But I am so pissed off, y'all. Let me let y'all see this parking lot. Hold on. So this is, I don't know if y'all can see it, but I'm gonna drive around like it's packed. And so we can never do right. We can never really just stick together on some shit. Like, I'm just so upset because it's packed. I'm mad.
That one right there, where the woman was shocked that Walmart's parking lot was full. I don't know if you know this lady, but Walmart's parking lot, for the most part, they're normally full because Walmart's a pretty popular company and people go into Walmart. Now, me personally, I can't stand going to Walmart because of the lines, the waits, and of course, I also get irritated. Or at least I used to get irritated. I'm no longer an actively smoking 2 packs of cigarettes kind of guy, but I used to get irritated when I went inside Walmart and I would see everybody just file into the tobacco line, even though these people were not buying tobacco products. It used to piss me the hell off. Even though I wasn't buying my tobacco from Walmart at the time, it still used to anger me because the line was extremely long, longer than it needed to be. And something else, too, I don't know if this woman knows this or not, but even with Walmart pulling the DEI initiatives, these people don't seem to understand that, and this, by the way, is strictly anecdotal, but of course somebody will call me a racist for saying it. But when I go to Walmart, I notice that the vast majority of the workers at Walmart, who, by the way, won't get fired over this, they'll still keep their jobs. I notice that they are of a certain color. I just figured I'd point that out before we watch the next meltdown.
Announced it is rolling back its diversity, equity, and inclusive initiatives amid outcries over so-called corporate wokeism and claims that DEI is more divisive than inclusive. Walmart says it's ending racial equity training programs for staff, evaluating programs designed to increase supplier diversity, reviewing funding of pride events, and removing sexual or transgender products marketed to children. Now, Walmart defends the move, saying, quote, "We have been on a journey and know we aren't perfect, but every decision comes from a place of wanting to foster a sense of belonging." Other companies making similar moves. They include Harley Davidson, Tractor Supply, and
I think that Elon Musk, and one of the biggest fears that people have, which is being realized, is that he really wants to turn America into pre-1990 South Africa. And you look at Elon Musk and some of the things that his own parents have said about him and kind of coming into his own right now. You see with the xenophobia or the language that he uses to harken back to those days.
Now, guys, I chose to play the two CNN clips back to back because this is obviously what you're going to be hearing out of these people, especially given the fact that, as you guys obviously saw in the thumbnail, Walmart has chosen to pull back or roll back, as you might would say, from the DEI nonsense. Also, Harley Davidson has chosen to roll back from the DEI nonsense, as well as John Deere. These people obviously saw that this is not exactly a profitable venture, but we do have a lot to talk about. Now, real quick, before we dive into this video, speaking of Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving video that I did past Wednesday is going to be linked in the comment section. If you guys are new, I advise you guys check it out. I kind of talk a little bit about how I'm feeling at this moment in time and why it is I'm going to be changing some of the tone of this channel going into next year. Of course, I'm tying up loose ends, not abandoning the content or anything, just changing the tone and some of the directional type of stuff. And of course, experiencing some new things going into 2025. But I'll link the video in the description box. Let's get back on this right here. So we also got to talk about not just Walmart, not just the liberal meltdown, but we also got to talk about the future of DEI and what exactly happens. Well, let me just go ahead and say this. The future of DEI is not exactly pretty. However, there will, of course, be people out there like Roland Martin who will continue to try to grift off of it. Go back to what I said, lady. The vast majority of these people who work at Walmart are not getting fired. People understand that the DEI crap, especially at Walmart, is just something that's added on to the orientation. When you first get hired, take it from somebody who's worked at Walmart twice in his life, you got to go through a BS orientation like you do everywhere else. But for the most part, Walmart's actually pretty, let's just say, pretty lax company to work for. I don't think that they're going to be firing any employees or anything like that. But of course, leave it to Bakari Sellers earlier in the video who decided he wanted to raise hell about this and say that we're going back to apartheid, we're going back to South Africa. That is what Elon Musk wants, while at the same time you see in the bottom of the screen that Trump plans on ending the DEI initiatives in the military. Let me just go ahead and say this. Ending the DEI initiatives in the military is the greatest thing that Donald Trump could do, the greatest thing any president could do, because we need to stop with this, how do I say, we need to stop with this divisive rhetoric that's designed to divide this nation further than what it already is, or as this woman would say on Fox News the other day.
Americans are using and hearing buzzwords like unity or inclusivity, and we're seeing more and more that this is just an ideological agenda that is being force-fed down Americans' throats, and we've had enough. I think the election demonstrates that, and we're ready to see change and a return to viewpoint diversity and equal opportunity, which is not the same thing as equity.
Diversity, equity, inclusion is, in fact, extremely divisive. It's also extremely racist. And also, to go on top of that, it also paints an extremely negative picture for black folks. Let me just go ahead and reiterate this, all right? You get a job. You get a job because you were a diversity, equity, inclusion hire. They needed more inclusion. They needed more diversity as a part of their workforce. So they brought you in because of the color of your skin. That has got to be one of the most embarrassing ways to get a job. By the way, it sets black people back really like 100, 200 years. I know many, many, many black people who work their butts off, work very, very hard, who are angry with the DEI stuff because it paints a negative picture of black people. But of course, you've still got idiots out there who've got the grift like, say, Roland Martin. But like I said, we'll get to Roland Martin here in a second. And before I do that, I want to go ahead and say this. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Think about this really quick. So you want people to know that you got the job because of your race, affirmative action, all that type of stuff there. It doesn't do anything to help you out as a person. So if you're somebody of color, you should probably want diversity, equity, inclusion gone. You should probably want it gotten rid of. You want to know that you got your job based upon your merit. But of course, the suspicion is always going to be there. The suspicion, especially when it comes to airline companies, when you get on a plane, like Charlie Kirk said in a video that he got a lot of hot water for, which of course he continued to stand on his principles about, where he basically said, I'm beginning to wonder if the pilot may be a diversity, equity, and inclusion hire. What I'm trying to say to you is that it creates paranoia. It creates extremely negative stereotypes, stuff that the left oftentimes love to accuse you of what they are guilty of. Well, you guys get the point. They always scream and holler about stereotypes, but they're typically the ones who create said stereotypes and the ones that typically tend to stereotype others. I mean, go back to what Bakari Sellers was saying at the very beginning. This is kind of sort of all these people have, and of course, we're not going to hear the end of it anytime soon, but like I said before, there are people out there who still want to use it as some form of grift or some form of revenue, which is where we enter Rollie Pollie Ollie. Now, Roland Martin he decided to talk about this issue the other day on his show, Unfiltered, whatever the hell you might want to call it. And of course, he, let's just say he had some choice words for the CEO of Walmart.
Diversity among your suppliers still important to you at Walmart, John?
Well, starting with our company back in 1962, we were a small business, a single store that operated out of Rogers, Arkansas. And so we'll continue to do the things that we can do to ensure that small suppliers have a path to being successful, not only at Walmart, but in their business in total. You know, every year we really focus on made in the USA. About 2/3 of what we sell is either made, grown, or assembled right here in the United States. We have a program every summer called Open Call, where we welcome in small suppliers and we welcome in people that have an idea, that are an entrepreneur and they want to learn. So we're going to continue to lean into ensuring that we provide the very best pathways for small businesses, our suppliers, to be successful here in the store. If I had more time, I could take you around the store and show you a few of those examples, but there are a lot of them and there'll continue to be more.
Okay, so I said he had some choice words for the CEO of Walmart, and I understand I played that news clipping for you guys, but I wanted to stop before we get to what Roland says, because before Rollie Pollie Ollie goes on his normal tangents like he normally does, the tangents of a man who's quite frankly constipated, and from what we're finding out, has some, let's just say, some fetishes that probably don't need to be discussed here online. Don't worry, I'll link this in the description box here, but I want to go ahead and say this really quick before we get to Roland. It seems to me like Walmart's not the only company. It seems to me like Harley Davidson is not the only company. It seems to me like there are more companies out there who are saying no to the DEI nonsense. In the B-roll footage, guys, you are seeing Apple's new ad this Christmas. I am showing it, some of it to you guys. You probably have seen this ad already, and you're probably cheering the fact that Apple has chosen not to be woke anymore. I'm not going to say Apple is not going to be woke anymore. I'm not saying that Apple is not going to be doing the DEI thing, but I think that Apple's beginning to realize that this type of stuff that you guys saw in the B-roll footage works a little bit better when it comes to selling the product, especially seeing how it is this Christmas time. You got Verizon, you got all these phone companies that need to sell iPhones. They're looking to get away from this woke DEI crap. They're doing that for a reason. It's called maximizing profit. That right there is what businesses do. We are a capitalist country, and as a pure capitalist, I'm enjoying the fact that companies are starting to realize that this woke DEI nonsense repels customers. Roland, of course, he knows this. And like I said, before we get there and before we discuss him and before we counter what he's got to say, Roland knows that what I'm saying is true. Of course, I'm just a little YouTuber. He would never speak to me. And of course, I would never go on the show, because the only thing that fat fuck would do is just scream, holler, and yell the entire time, because that's normally what Roland does. I mean, seriously, you can tell that the guy is overly constipated. I mean, it looks to me like he's always having an issue with some troublesome crap coming out of him. But still, the point is this right here. Race grifters are going to grift, which is why it is we got to talk about the future of DEI, which I'll get to here in a second. But there's one more thing that I do want to say before we get to Roland. Not every single company is doing what Walmart is doing. By the way, Walmart's also going to be investing more and more and more in American products. They claim that that's what they're going to be doing. I didn't mention that earlier, but Jaguar chose to go into the woke stuff, as you guys are seeing here, and it's not exactly going over well. Do you think maybe people are just sick and tired of the whole woke crap? Just think about that. Now let's get to Rollie.
Gayle King's question. He didn't answer it at all. There also was this $100 million initiative that they had announced after the death of George Floyd. They're getting rid of that. It was they also were funding what it was called a Center for Racial Equity, a nonprofit that Walmart launched in 2020. It's supposed to be a 5-year initiative, and so that's also being shuttered. Let's just be real.
First and foremost, Walmart CEO didn't need to answer the question, because, well, he pretty much answered it with his answer, which was to basically tell you that they're going to be reinvesting into American products. I mean, I'm pretty sure that he would have let out a little bit more as far as overall information as far as DEI was concerned, if DEI really and truly was an actual concern, because Walmart, like any other company, knows that this diversity, equity, inclusion nonsense is absolute poison. And number two, before we get back to this, I just want to go ahead and say one more thing. The mere fact that he brought up George Floyd, fentanyl Floyd, is just further proof that this right here is just another continuation of the failed grift. But let's watch.
This is a part of the attack against critical race theory, part of the attack on affirmative action. This is all about the right-wing agenda.
Well, of course, Rollie, of course we want to get rid of CRT. It's hateful, it's divisive. Do you know that if you are a successful black person in America, you will be called white by these people? Because success goes hand in hand with whiteness, according to CRT. I just figured I would point that out before we go any further. A lot of people who work at Walmart right now are making probably right around $12 an hour. It used to be $7.40 an hour when I worked there. Then it was $7.45 an hour when I worked the second time. My father worked there. They were paying him roughly $12 an hour. So I really have no idea what Walmart starts people off at anymore. So I'm guessing somewhere between $7.40 and $12 an hour. A lot of these people, quite frankly, just don't have time for the DEI or the nonsense. As a matter of fact, there was a bit a while back where Charlemagne the Fraud even said that, and I even did a video on this, where he said that the Democratic Party needed to drop the woke DEI nonsense because people just were not interested in it. It's a drain in people's days. It's absolutely useless, and quite frankly, nobody adheres to it.
They have been targeting Harley Davidson, John Deere, numerous companies. They've been targeting law firms. This is what this is all about. And the problem is corporate America, they're showing how gutless they are. Remember, I was in Los Angeles. It was NAACP panel, and it was a DEI panel, and I was going hard, and people were like, dog, why you going so hard? I said, because I'm trying to tell y'all this is about to end. I said, unless you have a strong counterattack, I said,
okay, why are you going so hard on it? He's like, I'm trying to tell y'all. Look, I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I don't think that anybody who was listening to Roland that day when he went to that NAACP function, I don't think anybody there really cares about DEI. I think that they themselves even understand that DEI is quite frankly divisive. And I think they also understand that DEI is something that would give them a negative stereotype. I mean, the NAACP is like 99% black. I mean, there is the occasional white person out there who is a member, but the fact of the matter is this right here. The people inside that room that you were talking to, Roland, when they asked you why you were going so hard on it, it's probably because they know better than you, but let's keep going.
These white corporations, their knees are going to buckle. They are not going to stand up to these right-wingers. And guess what? All of that stuff, and here we are. It'll be 5 years in May since George Floyd was killed.
And let me go ahead and say one more time for the crowd that's in the back, DEI makes black people look bad because DEI automatically stereotypes them and makes people think automatically that this person, because of the color of his skin, only got his job because of the color of his skin, even though said person's probably pretty skilled at what he does. I'm just simply saying, but let's keep going.
And I told folk, I said, I'll be shocked if we get to the 5th year. We barely had 3 years.
There was never any discrimination, okay? Walmart hires everybody. Walmart hires people with disabilities. Harley Davidson, I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but most bikers are white. All right? I mean, black people shop at these stores all the time because the price. I mean, there was never any discrimination at all. This discrimination, once again, is just a grift. That's really all the hell this is, which, leads me to my final point. People like Roland Martin are going to continue to be Roland Martin. They're going to continue to be Rollie Pollie Ollie. They're going to continue with the grift. They're going to continue with the race grift. And there was even this bit a while back where he was attacking RFK over vaccines, of course, which is something that's kind of popular for these people to do. But the thing about Roland Martin that you got to understand is that it's whatever grift is next. That's just how this guy operates. Let me go back in time really quick before I end this video. Shortly after Biden got into office, there was a guy by the name of King Randall. Does a lot of very good things down there in Georgia, trying to help young men out, especially young black youth, because a lot of these homes don't have a father, which is something that Roland Martin should be talking more about, especially as far as it comes to that community. Yes, white people have that problem too, but it's not as pervasive. Same thing with Hispanics. Everybody's got problems, but it just seems to be much, much more pervasive in one community than the other. Of course, you can blame the media for that. You can blame whatever. But the point is this right here. You should actually be focusing in on the type of stuff that King Randall was doing, which is to try to help young black youth. What was King Randall doing? King Randall was teaching people how to behave, not to be smart with cops, the type of stuff you see in the news media that, quite frankly, makes black people look a certain way. I understand somebody's going to get pissed off, but I'm making this video to help people out of color. I understand YouTube's terms of service, but still at the same time, somebody will come in here and scream racist because that's just how people are. But getting back to what I was saying before, Roland was chastising King Randall because King Randall was trying to teach young black men to go out there and do for themselves. He was trying to teach them to go out there and get a job. Roland Martin was basically preaching, no, you shouldn't go out there. You shouldn't get to work. You should lay around and scream and holler about reparations, which is an extremely toxic mindset to have for a said community. And one more thing, too, and this right here is the main point of the video. It's not just the employers who know that it's toxic. It's people themselves who know that it's actually toxic. It's one of the main things that the current Democratic Party leadership is discussing, trying to ditch. But, of course, it's never going to go away because this is their base of support. This is the people that they pander to. This right here is the people that they cater to. It's roughly 1/3 of their voter base. And until they can either A, create a brand new voter base, which they probably won't be able to create, they're probably going to be stuck with this nonsense going forward. This is kind of sort of the scarlet letter that's going to be pinned to their chests. But as far as the race script is concerned, it just eventually gets old. It just eventually gets old and outdated. However, that doesn't mean that there's not a certain section that will continue to stay radicalized and do crazy things, which is why in 2025, you guys will see me come back and make occasional videos like what I have got right now. It may not be here on the Claymore channel, but of course, I may still make those so that way you guys can get some updates about what is to come. But that right there is something that will be discussed a little bit later on this year or periodically in the videos that I do. Speaking of that there's only going to be 2 videos coming out on Monday because we're going to be going back to the 2 video schedule, 2 video a day schedule, 12 o'clock and 5 o'clock, maybe 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock. I'm not entirely sure, but we're going back to that there. I've been really, really stressed out this year. A lot of things going on, and I'm just kind of sort of like, you know what? I just want to, get to the end of the year, which of course is where we're at. Speaking of that you're going to hear me say this in just about every video, every chance I get. Merry Christmas to all, because obviously there's still idiots out there who scream Happy Holidays when in reality it's Merry Christmas. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys have got to say. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.